I don't know if you can see those mountains clearly. The trees on it. In some areas you can even see houses there. Our world is changing. Not just our world, the universe is changing. Everywhere is changing. Some people will see it and prepare for it. Some people will see it and just don't care. Some people are so angry that depressed, anxious, fearful, that they don't even bother to look. Now, the people who see the world changing and get up each day with a plan, even if that plan doesn't work today, you still have a plan that you can use tomorrow or the next day, whenever that opportunity presents itself. There's no escape from the changes that are coming. If you let somebody else plan for you, you already set yourself up for failure. And that's what's happening with most people in most countries around the world. I see a lot of diasporans moving around the world, traveling from country to country. Their YouTube channels are filled with videos of, I'm so happy here in this country. Here's the nice part and here's the not so nice part, or nice things, what I enjoy about this place and what I don't. And I'm not saying these things to tell people not to travel. But they are traveling from place to place, and you never hear them talking about the changes that are coming and their preparation for those changes. It's all about financing their trips. Like, I want to travel the world and see the world no matter what happens. And that, in a way, is good too. But if you end up in Congo, when things break down to a point where you can't get out, what are you going to do? If you get trapped in Egypt and can't get out, what are you going to do? If you get trapped in Colombia or Iceland or Italy, what are you going to do? ATMs don't work. You have no money. Your hotel is demanding payment. What are you going to do? That is the position that a lot of African countries are finding themselves in, because no planning. Not only African countries, countries throughout the world. But what the European countries, or a country that's led by Europeans, or want to follow the European tradition, I'm not interested in. My foundation is in Africa and in places where other Africans live. That is my interest. These countries borrow money, and their backup is to go borrow more money. And the backup to that is borrow more money. The problem is when every leader comes in, they talk about democracy. And the democratic process, they don't understand. In America, it was to keep the king from ruling forever, controlling everything forever. Every 4 years, they change the king so that another king can come in. But still, they have this thing called policy that guides the country no matter what happens. No matter what happens, we're going to have a strong military. And we are going to fight to the last man to protect our interests. That's the policy of the United States. And you can see it at work now in Ukraine, where no matter how bad the inflation is, no matter what is done in Ukraine, no matter how it affects the economy in the United States, they're still going to do it. Interest. Tell me what nation in Africa has that interest? What state? The ruler of the state have an interest, fill his pockets with money and send his children to school in Europe, own as much land as possible so he can make as much off it as possible. have an army that can defend him, not the state, not the other people in the state, not the poor. He has health care other places. But the poor people in this country don't have health care. They die. Not interested in them, whether they live or die. Another one will be born that's going to take his place. Every young person that's born in Africa, lives, I should say, to reach the age of, say, 18 or 20, lacks the knowledge. People call it education, but knowledge and education are two different things. They lack the knowledge to do what's necessary to raise the country up, deliver it from poverty. Because the so-called elders and traditional rulers keep that knowledge to themselves. And in fact, most of them have lost that knowledge. What they do now is depend on some foreign country to tell them how to do things. The UN, Italy, Spain, the EU, America, England, France, Germany. Anytime they do something, it's because one of these countries' leaders tells them to do it. So the people of Africa lack the knowledge to make decisions that affect them. They hold on to traditional leaders because they have no knowledge or understanding of what the traditional leaders are really doing. They bring a bag of rice into the village and hand it out every time the election is coming around, or when some visitor from overseas come to visit the country. I remember one country I live in, the leader would drive down the road and throw out package of biscuits. And there was thousands of people outside, lining the street, trying to get biscuits. Why do you show up to get the biscuits? After the biscuits are gone, you're hungry, you're starving. Don't have the equipment to plow your land and grow food. Don't have wells drilled so that you can water your food during the dry season. You gotta wait till the rainy season to plant. So when you reach 25 now, that poor man is hungry, and a friend of his in Spain or France or Germany say, hey, come to Spain. We make a few dollars and send back home and build a house and feed the family. And that's what they do. And the leaders of Africa really don't care about it. They talk. They say, oh, our children shouldn't be going, but they're not doing anything to keep the children, to educate the children to build it. We need to change that. Africa needs to change that. The Africans abroad know what's going on, but they don't say anything. They're afraid of their family being harmed in the country that they came from. But if you don't stand up, your family will continue to die and die and die and die, generation after generation. You're failing to see that what's happening is going on since the places where you're at now, like America, Caribbean, England. The leaders in your village put some of the men in your village in slavery, sent them to these places, just like how they were sent. You gone to these places now? Your fellow Africans before you went to these places. They're paying you dollars now, but it's still slavery because you're not being paid a living wage. And not only are you not being paid a living wage, you should be able to do the same thing you're doing in England for England in the country where you came from. But you're not doing it there. And you don't want to go back there. But you better go back and change it. Don't just do like the diaspora who is traveling the world and saying how beautiful it is, what I enjoy here, and not preparing. Better prepare. If you see what's happening to America and England, France, Germany, look at England as a matter of fact. In just 3 years, since they began a war in Ukraine, what has happened to England? Look at Germany. Germany's industry is completely destroyed. In just 3 years. When the country that you're in comes into the same position that England is in, where are you going to go? They're hunting down, the Caucasians in England are hunting down black people. Just like the Poles and the Ukrainians ill-treated you when the war began. You're suffering the same fate in England. It's coming to Germany now. It's coming to France. It's spreading slowly. When it gets to you, what are you going to do? I hope you got a plan. And I hope the diasporans who are moving to Africa have a plan, because when they shut off the banks, your ATM card is useless. You're without money to live the YouTube life. All right. Hope you're taking this information seriously. Have a great day wherever you are. Peace.